I'm going to be the hardest person somebody ever tries to kill. You might have me outnumbered. You might have the high ground. You might have been sitting here picking the what you're going to try to kill me with, how you're going to kill me, who is going to kill me, when you're going to kill me, why you're going to kill me. You might have picked all 5 of those 5 W's. I don't care. I will be the hardest bastard you ever try to kill. Hard to kill mode activated. That came from just like building that tool for the ranch. It came from a forging process of pain and suffering. F you and all of your friends. You're not gonna kill me today, because I've done the work and I've done the preparation, and I'm gonna find the next thing. I'm gonna live to the next moment. I'm gonna move to the next piece of cover. There was a moment where I was sitting there behind my empty sniper rifle, looking over the battlefield to try to find a gun on the ground so I could run and pick it up so I'd have bullets. That's the will. That's the will to fight. And if somebody ran on top of me, they would have died being beat to death with this big metal club that was my sniper rifle that has no bullets. It didn't matter.
We're drilling to stay alive. We're drilling for that time that we have to fight for our life.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is... This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Tim Kennedy, the American UFC fighter, entrepreneur, and U.S. Army Special Forces veteran. You served as a Green Beret sniper in the Special Operations Detachment and toured in Iraq and Afghanistan. In the Army, you were deployed to Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and you were an honor graduate from Ranger School. For your service, you were given the Bronze Star Medal awarded for valor under fire. In your first fight in the UFC, you defeated Roger Gracie versus unanimous decision and earned wins against Michael Bisping and Robbie Lawler to hold an MMA record of 18 wins in 24 fights. Your company, Sheepdog Response, uses real-world programs to teach situational awareness, martial arts combat, and weapons training in order to protect against a home invasion, mass shooting, or terrorist attack. Tim, welcome to London Real.
Dude, I like that intro. Thanks for having me.
Dude, it's great to have you here. I was following you for a long time for MMA, and then I was following your Sheepdog stuff for maybe the last 9 months. And then when all of this kind of craziness happens, from the COVID to the lockdown, et cetera, I was wondering in the back of my mind, what does Tim Kennedy make of all of this happening? Because much of your life has been spent preparing people for something like the zombie apocalypse. And I know you've starred in a movie where there was a zombie apocalypse, but this was like the real thing. So I'm curious, from a guy that's been all over around the world, fought not only in a cage, but on the battlefield, what do you make of the last 4 months?
It's been crazy for a lot of people, not for me. The kind of one of the weirdest parts was I would spend most of my time trying to take care of other people. I have chickens, I have food, I have I have toilet paper. My house is kind of not off the grid, but it's definitely a self-sufficient solar. Everything that you could need to live very comfortably for a really, really long time is here. So I was just kind of leaning forward. The mission of my company is to preserve and protect human life. I ended up being like preserve and protect the quality of some people's lives, because some people are struggling both with food or paying bills or finding toilet paper, which I found funny. But that was kind of like the last 4 months.
I mean, the first month, we kind of forget now, but there was a lot of fear and panic. And like, that's something you train people for, to try to, train them through that amygdala response and stuff. What did you make of it? In some ways, like you say about the toilet paper, we saw kind of the worst of humanity, and in some ways we saw the best of humanity. I don't know. I mean, did you learn anything?
Yeah, I learned a ton. It really reinforced a lot. There's a lot of sayings, like sweat more, bleed less, ounce prevention's worth a pound of cure. Like all of these kind of reoccurring expressions are about, the more that you do before something happens, the easier life is when it does happen. If you're driving down the road and all of a sudden there's like a mob of people running around you to steal your toilet paper or water, that's like a really frightening thing. You walk into a grocery store, you walk to try to get into a grocery store, and there's a line of 1,000 people, and you're like, I have to get baby formula for my kid or diapers. Like you can't help yourself, that fear that grows inside of you. Well, that doesn't exist if you prepare. Like if you train, like not at one moment was I like, oh man, I don't know what to do. It's like, man, I already knew what to do. And now I'm just going to help other people try to figure out how to make their lives a little bit easier. I mean, truth of the matter is the reason that in the military does so much training, like you don't see Mike Tyson walk into the ring and knock everyone out and become one of the greatest heavyweights of all time unless he trained his little butt off. Well, his big butt. He's a pretty big fella. But, it all comes down to preparation. And we saw a lot of bad from humanity. We did see some tiny little granules of good. But I think if anything, it says you have to do the work ahead of time.
Okay. And like if I came down and I might do this and spent a few days with you at sheepdog training, like what are the kind of things you're teaching people? Because I know you have everybody from say law enforcement down to people who've never fired a gun before. What are the basics?
Yeah. The basics, we cover kind of the fundamentals of how your mind is supposed to work. Awareness, assessment, action, and assessment. Like in those 4 A's, it's your mind is always kind of working in this circular process of, okay, I'm aware of my surroundings. Things are going pretty good. And then assessment is, all right, there's something that's kind of off over there. What's off about that? Then action is, okay, the thing that was off is bad. What do I need to do? Do I need to get my family away? Do I need to, protect myself? And then assessment is what I did the right thing? And you're always in the cycle of those 4 things. And then we train all of those things individually, like action, for example. Let's say somebody's trying to rob you or mug you or rape you. Like there's the fundamentals of self-defense that have to be present, boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, weapon retention, weapon takeaways. And, there's a lot of like really fancy, like things that people could show. We don't show any of that stuff. We show really, truly the basic fundamentals of fighting. All of our instructors are Delta Force guys and Navy SEALs and Army Green Berets and professional fighters, black belts in this, UFC fighters from, it's like, that's the people that are just showing you how to throw a jab or how to not let somebody take a weapon off of you. We really, really pound in the basics. If you're a master of the basics, you're a pretty difficult person to deal with.
Is that something you learned in the military or also training for like UFC fights? Because if you go into the jiu-jitsu class, there's always a few guys that are working on, that super fancy low percentage submission. But if you run the numbers in the UFC, it's pretty much just the meat and potato basics that are most of the submissions, right? And everything goes out the window when you get hit, I'm guessing, for the complex stuff.
Yeah. All the fancy stuff disappears the moment a round cracks by your head or you get hit in the face. The tip of the spear units on the planet that do the most incredible work in counterterrorism and anti-poaching and human trafficking. I mean, like really the best group of guys on the planet are masters of the basics. They don't do fancy stuff. They're not like rappelling in inverted off the side of a stealth helicopter. They can walk, they can shoot, they can fight. And when somebody can master those basics, like they're a problem for anyone. I don't care who you are. Like that is a difficult person to have to deal with. And like we live by this: be an asset, not a liability. And an asset is somebody that has a solid foundation. Those cornerstones have been built up. Like you don't look at like this crazy house that has all this ornate trim around it and it's about to fall over. You look at this architecturally, structurally sound thing and you're like, man, that thing could withstand anything, a hurricane, a tornado, COVID, looters, rioters. That building's just going to stand there and laugh because it's built so strong. And that's what we're trying to do with the individual.
Okay. One thing I kind of noticed in the past few months is I call it kind of like the weaponization of fear. It's like almost like they got everyone so scared that now we can't really be rational. You can't really assess the situation. And now you're kind of just, you're in this fear state, kind of doing whatever they kind of tell you to do. I mean, first of all, do you see that? And second of all, is that because people aren't conditioned and comfortable in all sorts of uncomfortable situations to look at this and say, okay, all right, there's no toilet paper, that'll be okay. And if this happens, that'll be okay. And if they riot, I know I'll be okay. I mean, do you think the training would have calmed more people down?
Yeah, for sure. That's a very perceptive observation, Brian. The fear is a horrible place to do anything out of. To make decisions for your family, to try and to provide for them, to try to vote. Like anything done out of fear is usually not going to be a very rational thing. And whether it's, like I'm not going down conspiracy theory, whether it's orchestrated, whether it's like specifically planned, whether it was part of, an attack by China, I don't care. Know that fear is bad. And the only way that you can overcome fear, everyone has fear. Like the bravest Medal of Honor recipient, heroes from World War II, like people that fought for the Allies, every single one of them had fear. But their training and their preparation is what allowed them to overcome it. And the more training and the more preparation that you do, the less fear that you have. I'm not like being braggy when I say like there wasn't a moment where I was fearful. I had to change things about my life to make it more safe, to make my family safer. But like at no point was like, ooh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like I'm going to go and vote for less freedom, or I'm going to go and like, yeah, we shouldn't go outside. That sounds like a really bad idea, like, because, the sun is dangerous, or, whatever the malarkey was that they were saying. Like I could just sit there rationally, logically, without this like wave of emotion and fear and try to do things that are so dangerous to us later. Like I never want to trade out of fear comforts now for less freedom later. I would rather just like take a step back, take a breath, make a rational decision, what's best for the collective, what's best maybe even just for the individual, like my family, and then move forward. But yeah, fear's bad. Get rid of fear. Out the window.
Do you think if the whole population had, say, forced themselves to be in one MMA fight, or go through sheepdog, or spend some time overseas, do you think the whole collective would have just behaved a bit different, as opposed to people who is it easy to scare people these days? I guess that's my question.
Yeah, it sure as heck is. That's just this great thing. It really is. We are living in unprecedented good times. I know it doesn't feel like it right now because we're so scared, but like we have the lowest poverty, starvation, unclean waters in the history of our species right now at this moment. And that's pretty incredible. Like we have more countries that are flourishing, like more access to like the most isolated, poor places on the planet being able to have real clean water for the first time. And that's powerful and beautiful. And with good times, I think people get soft. Like hard times make hard people, and then hard people like make good times because they're tough and they figure out how to fight through it. And then those good times make soft people, and then soft people make hard times, and then hard times make hard people, and then hard people make good times. And that's the cycle.
Yeah. And so we're living that cycle basically.
We are. Yeah.
Right. And we're on the not hard people. We're about to make some more hard times basically.
Yeah. I think we have made hard times. We are maybe in the beginning of some hard times, but with hard times comes hard people, and like not just like genetically, what happens to a people when weak and fearful people kind of like chaff in the wind go away, the refiner fire comes to our species, and we get better, we collectively get tougher, and then we figure out how to get through this thing, and then cool, we got good times again. Hopefully we don't make too hard of times.
So my grandpa farmed cotton in Arizona, and I remember after he died, I went driving by the old plot with my grandma, and she said, "You see that field over there?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Your grandpa dug tree stumps out of that for 2 years before he planted a single seed." And I was just like, God damn, man, like what the hell do I ever have to complain about? He saw the Great Depression. He had come from Oklahoma before that, and the Dust Bowl, and he'd built it all from his hands. And just being around him, he was this stoic dude. I don't remember him complaining once. And he was just up every morning at 4 a.m, and he farmed the land for like 30 or 40 years. I don't know if they'll make him like that again. Maybe they will, but we got to go through another cycle, perhaps.
Yeah, they will. Do you ever remember him scared?
No,
it's a cool thing. I think a lot of people run from adversity. They look at something hard and they're like, oh man, I don't want to do that. That looks hard. And, they're always looking for an easy solution, and that's good. It's good to sometimes find the easiest way to do things. I get it. Efficiency is important, man, but sometimes there's no other way to do it besides the hard way. And sometimes the best way to do it, both for you and for the thing, is painful. When we're making, if I were going to go make a tool that I was going to go work out on the ranch, I could grab a piece of metal and I could laser cut it and I could go out and work with it. And that thing would last a couple of months. Or I could take a chunk of metal and I can heat it and I can pound it and I can heat it and I can pound it and I can heat it and I can cool it and then pound it some more. And over time and over pain and over struggle and over through adversity, that thing is going to take shape, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to be durable, and it's going to be tough, and it's going to be able to survive whatever I do to it. And we're kind of like that. I don't want to do. I'm not somebody that has ever looked for an easy way to do something. I have found that most of my success and most of my freedoms and my ability to still be sitting here alive has come from doing the harder thing. And everything that I've ever wanted has always been on the far side of hard work. And that was something that was taught by my grandpa, who also is a Great Depression guy, a World War II vet. And he was a builder. He worked on radios and he designed things that went in aircraft that dropped bombs in World War II. And that is the model that I looked at was like, okay, go find hard stuff and do that stuff. I don't want to do something I know I can do. I want to do something maybe I can't, but the process of it will make me better.
And that's been the story of your life, basically, trying to find things you can't do. I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Oh, and I found a lot of people see, that resume that you just listed, and they're like, man, this guy's like, probably pretty tough and dumb. And I was like, if you could see the list of things that I couldn't do and that I hadn't accomplished and that I failed at, it is 20 times the size of the things that I did. And
like what?
Oh man, trying to make it to the Boston Marathon. You have to qualify for it. You have to run a certain speed. I wanted to win the Army 10 miler. I'm a 220 pound hairy ogre. Like I'm a knuckle dragging troll. So doing fast, long endurance things is not what I was designed for. I'm designed to like run through a wall, and like tear a bad thing's face off and eat it and then wear its skin and then go find more bad things. Basketball, I'm horrible at basketball. Baseball, I actually wanted to be a baseball player, and then I was like, I'm not very good at this. So volleyball. In college, I was wrestling, and I wanted to play volleyball, except that I'm 5'11" and I have feet like a hobbit. So, I had like a 30-inch vert, which was good for, essentially a dumb donkey, but not so great for a volleyball player.
All right. So there's a whole list of things you didn't do. And that's the point, is that you've tried a lot of things and succeeded at some and failed at a bunch, but you keep trying.
Yeah.
Just back to your grandfather. I mean, Surely a grandpa can't teach his grandson to do that stuff. Did he show you? Because kids don't do what they're told. How did that seed get planted in you?
They see it. Kids are, especially kids nowadays, they are so wicked smart. They're smarter than, watching my 5-year-old do things that would have taken me 10 years to figure out. He's like, oh, I'm just going to take this battery out. I'm going to put in this new SIM card. Oh, I have to format this card. He's 5. I don't even know what formatting means, let alone that there was a card behind the battery. But that's pretty impressive that you could do that. But they see everything and they process it in a way that we could never even imagine how fast they can do it. So like looking at me and watching my dad and my uncles and my father and my grandfather kind of like do work. Like he didn't sit down and be like, all right, you got to go do hard things, son. Like what I'd see him do is sit down with a model ship, from like the 1700s and take little tweezers and have to tie a bowline knot that he's going to attach to the base of the mast, and I was like, why are you doing that? Like every single knot had to be perfect on a model ship that he was going to set up on a counter and never touch again. And it was because it's more beautiful because it's hard, like, yeah, he could like do an overhand knot there and throw it up there. Or he could buy a pre-tied knot that was done in a factory. But then like he would never, every time that I would look up there at that ship, every single knot, and there was probably 4,000 of them on there. And every single piece of wood on that mast and every single bit of, like the finely cut and finely sanded and perfectly stained wood that was on the hole, he did, and like just that little tiny thing just resonated hard work and the sole focus of being able to accomplish a thing. And that is just an example of a toy, literally a model toy of what he would do in his real life, and how he would, fix the washing machine, or what he would, if we were going to the beach to play, it wasn't, okay, I'm going to pull out my phone now, you kids don't drown, is absolute complete interaction. Hey, let me show you how to get an octopus. This is a sea urchin. That is a sea anemone. Oh, you want to find a sand crab? So if you wait until the tide comes in and you push your hands in right as the water comes in, and you keep your fingers like this and you drag up, and the water is going to push all the sand out. The only thing left in your fingers is going to be the crabs. Like he showed us how to do that stuff. And so like every single moment we were living it, seeing it, and doing it. And that was like the process. Ironically, it's the same way that the military does it. Like I'd watch somebody do it, then I would do it, and then you would have to do it until you mastered it. Sometimes they made those things not very fun in the process, but ultimately the approach was still the same, and that walk, crawl, run when you're learning something.
You've talked about it before when you go into the special forces, that once you make it in there, they kind of spend the next 6 to 12 months like almost grinding the ego out of you in order to kind of build you back up.
Yeah.
Can you describe that process? I mean, are you not the same guy that went in?
No. I mean, there's this long, arduous process that they call selection. And, the Navy SEALs have buds, like they have Hell Week. And you lose a lot of guys during that. But that's not really where we lose the most amount of guys. In every single phase of training over the course of 2.5 years, there's 13 of you that go into this phase of training. And every single phase, you get to vote 1 through 13. And number 13 guy, he walks. He's gone. It's called peer evaluations. So the worst performer, and what's tragic is sometimes you get 13 incredible guys, but the 13th guy, he has to go. Whatever, he was late one time, he complained, he didn't do the work that was assigned, he fell asleep on shift, he wasn't a contributor, he said something that was racist, whatever it was, he's going to get voted last, or all of us collectively are going to vote him last, and he goes. So by the time you reach the end of training, not only have you had to do all these horrible things, SEER school and Robin Sage and passing all the gates of shooting and running and obstacle courses and the academics that are pretty intense during the course. At the end, you're left with a beautifully refined product. And then you show up on your ODA, and you're like, oh yeah, man, I'm a badass. Like, look, I've made it through all of this, like I'm a collegiate athlete. I was a professional fighter. I'm a competitive shooter. I just finished 2.5 years of training. And now I'm on a special forces ODA. I'm on the A team. And you walk through the door and they're like, okay, so go ahead and get all your bags and go back outside. And you can just wait outside until we come out to get you. You might be out there 3 days. They don't need you. They don't need you until you're not wanted or needed, until you can provide an asset to that team. And that's a hard thing it's a hard place to come out of.
You got a funny smile on your face when you talk about that. Kind of like you're remembering good things, but also hard things about that.
Yeah, but like the hard things, I know memories you romanticize, like even the hard stuff. And at the moment you're like, man, this is horrible. Like this is hard. Like, I don't want to be treated like a piece of crap. Like I want them to realize like how much I bring to this team. Like that's at the moment, but then that smile is, now 15 years later, remembering what that pain brought in, you call it hazing or just a tough brotherly process, whatever it is. Ultimately, when I got to that team, and knowing I was never good enough and knowing I always wanted to figure out another way to help the guy next to me, it was never about me. And I made it about me for a while. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the fastest. I wanted them to know it. But then, by year 3 or 4 of them still just kicking your dick in, you kind of realize that it has nothing to do with you. It only matters what you can do to the guy to your left and right.
Wow. So they really instill that team spirit. And by doing so, they break the ego down. And that's what you want, I guess.
That is what you want. Yeah.
Okay. Just back to fear really quick. I mean, can you remember a time where you were scared, either in combat or in the UFC, and how you dealt with it? I mean, you hear like Cowboy Shimoni said, every time he walks down, he's like, what the hell am I doing this for? I've talked to a bunch of fighters that, 10 minutes before, they're scared before they go in there.
Yeah.
Do you remember those times for you, and do you remember how you processed it?
Yeah. I've been fortunate and unfortunate in the sense that I have always been in a world that was inherently dangerous. And, growing up with a father that was, in very special counter narcotics units, going and stealing planefuls of cocaine from Pablo Escobar. Like my dad did that. Walking in to bring him and his friends coffee in the middle of the night, and they're all sitting around a pallet of cocaine, however many hundreds of kilos that is, sitting there with MP5s as they're sipping on coffee. Like I'm joking, but not joking, as they're like, can you go grab us some donuts? It's like, of course I can, it's pretty cool. But I thought for sure there were times that I was going to die. I remember getting blown up in Afghanistan, the car in front of me disappearing, landing on my hood and blood and whatever else was in there on top of the windshield, backing up, and having to run down there and try to grab bodies from underneath that vehicle, and having got Taliban run from tree lines that were 10 feet away. And I have this like long sniper rifle, and and I have a half a body in my other hand, completely tactically ineffective. And like, for sure, I'm about to die in the next second. And then my buddy Mike, sitting on top of an M2 50 cal machine gun, making those guys that are 10 feet from me just turn into vapor. And but I remember like feeling the overpressure of that 50 cal round fly through the air at 2,000 feet per second. And like, it felt like I was getting hit by Chuck Liddell. That's just the overpressure of the bullet flying past my head. And that was the beginning of a 3-day gunfight where, that first night we were swarmed by 400 something Taliban. There were 12 special forces guys. Those nightmares are living pure fear. Like, I'm in every moment, like I wasn't like fearful. I was living in fear that every second, where you hear a zip as that round cracks past your head. And you finally just pass out after fighting for 30 something hours. And you wake up, and as if you were like a gopher, I dug into the ground a couple of inches, and I woke up and I was like, there was like 2 or 3 inches of dirt on top of me. I literally burrowed into the ground, and I get out and I look down, and I'm covered in another man's intestines and blood, and probably some of my own throw up and crap. Cause I had overpressure sickness from getting blown up. And it's like, I don't even know whose poop and blood was whose at this point. And like, now I'm day 2 of a 3-day gunfight. Yeah, I was scared, Brian. I was like, I'm going to die, but I'm not going to quit.
And that was because of the training they gave you.
Preparation. That's right. Yeah. The training is like, not that it takes over. It's not like there's like this, oh, here's a training part of my brain that's going to like kick in. But like the rational part of the brain, which is like, I'm so freaking scared right now. I don't know what to do. And then it's like, wait a second. Yeah, I do know what to do. I got to find work. I got to go over there, grab some more grenades, grab some more rounds. And I have to figure out where these bad guys are. I got to get to high ground. I got to figure out what this wind direction is for these long shots I'm about to take. Like, this is, I got to get work. And the only way that you're going to know what to do is by preparation and training.
And you've called that like a big aha moment for you, that time when you got blown up in Afghanistan. Like, what did you learn over those 3 days?
I learned that I'm going to be the hardest person somebody ever tries to kill. You might have me outnumbered. You might have the high ground. You might have been sitting here picking the what you're going to try to kill me with, how you're going to kill me, who is going to kill me, when you're going to kill me, why you're going to kill me. You might have picked all 5 of those 5 W's. I don't care. I will be the hardest bastard you ever try to kill. And that's not just like, you're like, dun, 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 I pull my shirt off and all of a sudden I'm wearing this like hard to kill thing. Like, that came from just like building that tool for the ranch. It came from a forging process of pain and suffering. And it wasn't like I could just be like, okay, hard to kill mode activated. It's like, F you and all of your friends. You're not going to kill me today. And because I've done the work and I've done the preparation, and I'm going to find the next thing. I'm going to live to the next moment. I'm going to move to the next piece of cover. I'm going to, like, there was a moment where I was sitting there behind my empty sniper rifle, looking over the battlefield to try to find a gun on the ground so I could run and pick it up so I'd have bullets. And, but that's the will. That's the will to fight, right? Like, and if somebody ran on top of me, they would have died. They would have died being beaten to death with this big metal club that was my sniper rifle that has no bullets. It didn't matter.
So did those 3 days prove to you as well that you were kind of as bad as you hoped you were, or that the training really worked on you? Or did it help for the future to know that you've been through that?
I mean, it helped for the future, but it also reinforced that I'm not good enough. It reinforced that I was not prepared enough. I was not trained enough. I had not brought, not that I was the weakest link of the team, but I should have been able to do more. I should have been more prepared. I should have been better trained. I should have had more equipment. I should have looked at what that moment was going to, because we knew it was coming. We knew we were going to be ambushed, and we had prepared for it, and we had thought we had trained for it, but then you're in it. So leaving there, and to this day, I still, if you look at like, why are you still working out 2 times a day? Why are you shooting 5 days a week? Why are you still jumping out of helicopters at 40? Like tomorrow, Brian, as soon as I wake up, the sun is going to be just cresting the horizon. I'll be at Reveille Peak Ranch with a 6.5 Creedmoor Scar and 12 of my buddies sweating for the next 12 hours in 98-degree stupid Texas humidity, because we want to suffer. we want to sweat. We want to feel that heat, and we're going to be in body armor. We're going to have our helmets on day before the 4th of July, even more ironic. And because like when you're just covered in sweat and it's like acid in your eyes and there's like dirt in your hands and there's dirt in your gun, heck, there's dirt in your crotch, you know, and like your hands are slippery and calloused. When that is easy, like when at that moment when you're like, this isn't that hard, everything else is easy, everything.
And this is for a military op tomorrow, or this is just you guys doing something, doing your own op?
Friday.
Just Friday. And what are you doing again? Like, what will the day look like? Use some code and lingo, I don't know.
We will get up at dawn and we will drive to a training facility, a bunch of other special operations guys from different fields. But we work together sometimes. And it's like a training day where we have like, we're not working, we're still in our military capacity, but it's our training day. So we get to kind of pick what that looks like. So when you let us pick what our day is going to look like, it's going to look like pure pain and suffering. You're like, I think a rational person would like, wait a second, you are by choice making your day start at 6 a.m. and finish at 11 p.m. You're going to be in a body armor for what is going to be about 16 hours with all of your gear, with all of your ammo. And the whole entire time you're going to be running from different positions, shooting things. You're packing in all your own water. You're packing in all of your own food. I was like, yeah, yes, we are. You know, yeah, that sounds good.
And that's why I see you posting pictures on your Instagram in pools of sweat as you knock out some CrossFit WOD, like to the 10th power or something. That's not just you preparing for these operations. That's just you preparing, just being you for life.
Yeah. Just for life, you know? My son, we climbed up to the top of this tree stand, this deer stand that overlooks this back pasture where we have these deer feeders, because my buddy was flying this Augusta helicopter in to land in this field. So it's this big, powerful, huge helicopter. And we're sitting up on the top of it. And my son sees the helicopter come in and he starts leaning forward as the helicopter starts flaring a little bit to land. And he falls from the top of this tower. You know, we're probably 25 feet in the air. I am holding on with one hand and I grab the collar, kind of shoulder, and arm of him. And, you know, he's a 5-year-old. So what is he, 60 pounds? And I'm holding up his weight and my 210-pound body as a helicopter rudder wash is like shaking the whole entire thing. Like I'm training for life. You know, like I sit down for a call to negotiate, you know, the purchase of a building in like one of the entrepreneurial worlds that I live in, you know, and they're starting to throw stress and like, well, you're gonna have to do this and this and this and this and this. I'm like, I was like sweating acid 4 hours ago. There's nothing in this conversation that is going to stress me out. You know, like the hardest part of my day was 4 hours ago when I was literally lying there in what looked like a puddle of piss that was sweat. And all of it smelled like vinegar and bleach, because that's what your body smells like when it starts eating itself when it's mad at you. And everything else is easy after that, you know?
Just back to the military, did it take time to process what happened over those 3 days? Or, you know, we always hear about PTSD, and is that because people don't process these things correctly or aren't thinking about things correctly? Or how did that play out with you?
Yeah, I don't, it's not that, sometimes they don't want to process them. Sometimes they don't address them, and sometimes they don't have the ability to process them. Not that I'm like a high functioning human, you know, but like I have good friends and I have good relationships and I have good healthy habits. You know, like I don't drink, I don't do drugs, you know, I don't smoke, I get good sleep at night. You know, I have sex in a monogamous relationship, my wife, you know, like there's lots of really good, healthy things in my life that let me be able to handle a lot of things that I do. And then growing up in a house where, you know, my dad would come home and, you know, he's like, I went to a meth lab today and they thought they were putting the baby in the crib and they put it in the microwave. And that's where I found the baby. It's been there for 3 days. And like watching my dad work through those same interpersonal struggles in a healthy way, right? Like I didn't see him go and grab a bottle of Jack and be like, all right, come here, kids, and like smacks us around and puts the bottle up. And like he'd sat there, he'd cry, he'd struggle. And this is a 6'4" Olympic narcotics officer, blue suit, red tie, machine gun, pallets of cocaine, watching him cry because he couldn't save a kid. Like that's the formation. When we talk about like the foundation of a human, like that was my foundation, the building blocks and stones of my grandpa and my uncle and my dad, where, I'm not going to not say I struggle with memories of what happened during that time. Horrible things happen. War is horrible. Moments that I regret, but nothing heals regret and pain like sweat and work. And I think, again, the easy solution that people, oh man, I have these memories, I'm having these nightmares. Like, I can just pick up that bottle right there and I can drink them away. Like, yeah, that's the easy solution. How's that going to work for you in 2 years from now? The Vietnam vets coming back and, they're sitting there on methadone or heroin addiction because that's like just what they prescribe them because it was easy. It's like, oh, you're having trouble sleeping and you're having these tough memories. Here, take this. Like, that's not the right answer. Give them a gym membership, make them eat clean, and then go and make sure that they sweat their balls off for the next 2 hours, and then go get a healthy meal and good 8 to 9 hours of sleep. They're going to be a pretty better person tomorrow, and a little bit of healing time. And then after that, all those positive hormones are flowing. Sit down with them and be like, all right, talk to me about what happened. And then they just pour it out, because like it's poison. It's poison when it's stuck inside of you. It has to come out. And there's lots of ways to get it out. And there's lots of healthy ways to get it out. Punching a wall, not a healthy way to get it out. Going in and doing jujitsu with me for 6 hours, it's a pretty healthy option. Like I will fold you inside of your own clothes, but you'll feel better afterwards.
I've had Jocko on the show a couple times and he always...
I like that guy.
Yeah, right? You spent some time with him?
I do, yeah. I like him a lot.
Yeah. No, he's a great guy, unique individual. But he says, get a mission. Like that's one thing he encourages guys when they come back to find a new mission. And that's what he kind of accredited with himself. Like when he got back, find a new purpose and find a new thing, whether that's a business or teaching people or helping other people. I don't know. He says that's something that's missed a lot of times. People come back and they don't know what to do or don't have something to do. So they get sometimes caught up in like some of the things you're talking about. Do you think that's important?
For sure. But pick a hard one, it doesn't have to be like Mission Impossible. Like I'm going to go and rescue kids in Mexico. I think the stigma of that, like go get a mission is you try to Hollywood it or you try to like over romanticize it, like be a good father, be a good employee. Do you know how hard that is nowadays? Like raising teenage daughters, like what does that mean? Does that mean that I'm like monitoring every single text message that they send, that like I'm downloading every picture that goes out and comes in, I'm forcing them to work out with me? Am I cooking them breakfast every single day? Does that mean they have to come in at 9 p.m.? Like, I don't know what all that means, but I'm going to do my best to be the best version of it that I possibly can. And I know it's really freaking hard. Like it doesn't have to be this glorious James Bond moment of what my mission is. Like it might just be like, be the best UPS driver you can be, get promoted, try to employ more veterans. If you're going to start, you're going to go down the entrepreneurial track, like understand how much struggle there's going to be there, but like now I'm in a position where I'm like, I'm hiring what is like, I don't even know like how many veterans we have working for us now. Like I'm about to get another one. It's awesome.
What are your other memories? Like if you had to think of two other ones from the service, and was it hard to leave? I know you went back, but to leave, before you went back.
I remember, so we were in Iraq, and we were after this guy named Zarqawi, who, like, in the world.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.